Hi, Assalamualaikum. So for today we're going to continue with our second chapter for strategy entrepreneurship. As we already go through previously for our first chapter, it is about the introduction for the strategy entrepreneurship. So without further ado, let's proceed with our chapter for chapter 2. And this is our topic for chapter 2. Topic 2 is about the environmental scanning for the strategy entrepreneurship. So it's just a very short topic actually for this chapter 2. And without further ado, let's discuss further for this chapter. Okay, if you still remember with our previous topic, I mentioned that there are a few things, a few steps, or a few parts that we're going to learn about this strategy entrepreneurship. So the first is in terms of the environmental scanning here. So for the part of the environmental scanning, we're going to take a look in terms of the external and also the internal factors that influence how you need to strategize. And then we're going to move for another chapter, another topic for chapter 3. And then it is under the strategy formulation that involve the missions, objectives, strategies, and also the policy. And then we're going to move into the third part. It is about the strategy implementations in terms of the program, budget, and also the procedure involved. And then the last is in terms of the evaluation and control. So for this chapter, it will cover in terms of the environmental scanning here. So we're going to take a look about the external and also the internal parts. So the external is in terms of the societal tasks, and then for the internal parts is in terms of the structures, culture, beliefs, and also the resources, assets, skills, competency, and also the knowledge for the organization or for the entrepreneurs to set up their own strategies for the next chapter. The first concept is in terms of the new product and also the strategy. So the new product includes in terms of the new product in an established or a new market. So what does it mean by the new product? So a new product is a product which is totally new in terms of the concept. Okay? So any kind of the product which is perceived by the customer being considered as a new. So for example, a new product ni, because nowadays when we talk about the innovation and invention is very mustahil untuk dibuat sekarang ni, sebab we do believe that semua benda sudah sedia ada. But in terms of the innovation, so it can be considered as a new product. In terms of innovations of the handphone, for example, for the smartphone is a part of a new product introducing into a new market. Either the market is established or a new market. Second is in terms of the establish a product in a new market. So what is actually the definition of a new market? So, so a new market is actually a market, pasaran, where the end product or service is new, introduced to the customer. Kan tadi mungkin produk yang sedia ada, cuma dia buat penambahbaikan dalam pasaran sedia ada ataupun yang baru. Tapi in terms of the new market, it is a totally a new market where the end product or service is still considered as a new. Where in other words, there isn't really existing demand, but there could be. So as example of a new market, okay, sebelum ni mungkin kita boleh tengok in terms of the Uber, Airbnb. Uber, for example, we never expected that the Grab or taxi can be made into another types of the business known as a Grab or the Uber. And then for example, in terms of the food, actually the food itself, we never assume that one day everything will be in terms of the technology advancement by using everything through the payment or maybe in terms of ordering the food. So this is in terms of the new market. It might have a demand from the customer, or maybe it's in terms of the new organizations. And then in terms of the entrepreneur strategy, it is a set of decisions, actions, and reactions that generate and exploit a new entry over time. So these two of things is very important in terms of ensuring that the organization can make a better strategy to sustain their own business in the industry. in terms of developing a new product and also the idea, so we're going to take a look into 3 types. So the first type is in terms of the new market, second is type B about the new technology, and type C is about the new benefit. So new market, for example, here is in terms of targeting the new age beverage market by selling soft drink with nutritional values. So kalau if we take a look here, okay, so the beverage is a existing market. Beverage kan, minuman, so memang sedia ada dah pasaran tu. But why does it call as a new market? Because they go in terms of just selling a soft drink with a nutritional value. So this is a new things in terms of the new market. So who are the customer? Who are the targeted buyers for this kind of product? Of course, for those yang mementingkan tahap-tahap kesihatan in your market lah. It is new, mungkin tak ada permintaan lagi, mungkin dah ada kan, ini sebagai contoh, mungkin tak ada permintaan lagi, tapi it might have a demand once it had been introduced to the customer. So apa kelebihan kalau you memang sedia ada existing market lah. So existing market kan kita tahu memang benda sedia ada, competitions pun a bit high, tapi in term of the risk tu mungkin lagi rendah berbanding dengan benda-benda yang baru lah macam nutritional value, because there's some ada contoh-contoh daripada company, for example Coca-Cola sendiri pun pernah keluarkan dia punya beverage yang fokus kepada kesihatan, soda, tapi it just fails in terms of that kind of the product. So that's why in terms of the new market ni, it is very profitable but it is very risky for you. So that's why in terms of entering the new market, you need to strategize, study who are the customers, who are your targeted people before you try to reach the new market. Okay, and then for the type B is about the new technology. So for example here, using high-tech computers to develop a simulated helicopter ride. So ini sebagai contoh lah. So maksudnya dia boleh auto sendiri, jadi ataupun sekarang ni kita tengok dari segi teknologi kan, contohnya macam drone. Dulu kita cuma kalau nak ambil gambar mungkin is very limited kan, drone, kita ada drone, so kalau gambar perspektif daripada atas susah, tapi but nowadays in terms of technology we are able to capture the pictures daripada atas, contohnya dengan menggunakan drone tu lah. Ataupun lagi satu dari segi teknologi ni sendiri, dari segi kita punya e-hailing service lah. Okay, dari segi Grab ataupun taxi service tu, sebelum ni taxi service is benda yang traditional, ada yang biasa, tapi kita come out dengan teknologi by using the apps. So Grab, Uber, so this is the new technology. And then another thing is in terms of the type C. Okay, so the type C is about the new benefit. For example, here is developing a personal misting device to keep workers cool. Satu benda yang kita perkenalkan, tapi ada kelebihan ataupun benefit, dipanggil sebagai advantages yang baru terhadap pengguna. Jadi ini adalah cara untuk you mengenal pasti dari segi memperkenalkan new product bersandarkan kepada idea yang dipilih, sama ada awak mementingkan idea dari segi new teknologi, new benefit, ataupun daripada new market itu sendiri. And of course, before we try to come up with idea strategies, the most important part that we need to take a look is in terms of the environmental scanning itself. Okay, screening the opportunities, screening about the market, screening about you punya product positioning dalam pasaran ataupun industri itu sendirilah. Jadi di sini kita bagi kepada 3. Satu is in terms of the societal environment. So for the societal environment ni we gonna take a look, ataupun societal environment ni kita panggil sebagai external environment. So we gonna split into a social cultural forces, economic forces, and then we have in terms of the technology forces, and the last is in terms of the political legal forces. And then for the task environment or for the task environment or industry, we're going to take a look in terms of the perspective of the shareholders, government, special customer, creditors, communities, suppliers, and also in terms of the employees. And then the last is in terms of the internal environment. di dalam you punya organisasi itu sendirilah. Of course, we can take a look in terms of the structures. So for the structures ini, kalau awak ambil corporate ataupun if you take a look in terms of the structures, kita ada banyak jenis structures of the organisasi. Sama ada it is hierarchy, ataupun it is organic, ataupun it is a hybrid, ataupun spider web. So this is in terms of the structure. Culture itself, macam mana keadaan, sama ada you mementingkan dari segi individualism, ataupun bekerja secara berkumpulan, ataupun culture dari segi masculinity ataupun feminism. So this is about the culture di dalam sesebuah organisasi itu sendiri. And then in terms of the resources itself, so resources are very limited, very scarce, but in terms of how much actually the resources that you have. So resources ini adalah benda-benda yang sangat membantu dari segi pengeluaran, dari segi tingkat you punya ideas, and also in terms of the innovation itself, dan juga dari segi productivity of your organization. So the first is in terms of the environmental scanning. So it's just more to the theory. Okay. So the environmental scanning is one of the components of the global environmental analysis. Other components are monitoring, environmental forecasting, and also environmental assessment. And then the societal, task environment, and internal environment are the components that employed in terms of the environmental scanning. Ini yang kita tengok tadi tu kan, yang dalam societal ni kita ada teknologi, kita ada dari segi political, dan kita ada lagi dari another two factors. And then for the task environment ni kita ada dari segi competitors, employees, and then kita ada dari segi government. And then in terms of the internal environment ni pula kita ada dari segi structures kita. Saya cakap tadi kan, we have a few types of the structures, organization. And then we gonna take a look in terms of kita punya cultural, sama ada you masculinity, feminism in the organization, ataupun you sangat mementingkan dari segi learning organization. Okay, and then kita tengok juga dari segi another one tadi. Okay, dari dalam kita punya bahagian environment, di dalam kita punya internal environmental. Okay, the last component is in terms of the resources itself. Okay, so the first thing first is in terms of the external or societal environment. So external refers to the factors, forces, or situation and event outside the organization and the effect of its performance. So economic forces, socio-cultural forces, political, legal forces, and technology forces construct the social environment element. So benda ni you pernah tahu dan you pernah tengok lah kan, yang kita panggil sebagai PESEL tu. Okay, political, environmental, economy, societal, technology, and then also in terms of the legal. So all of this very important, and all of this can influence you punya idea ataupun strategies dalam pengurusan sebuah organisasi. Okay, so the economic forces encompass factors such as interest rate, inflation, change in disposable income, and stock market fluctuation. So this is controlled by the economic forces itself in terms of you strategize you punya organizations. Technology forces concern on new systems or technical knowledge in the business that have the ability to influence the overall business performance. So as we gonna take a look here nowadays during the pandemic, nowadays kita dah panggil endemic kan, during the endemic, so everything in terms of the SMEs company, especially in foods, semuanya sangatlah menitik beratkan dari segi penggunaan teknologi ke forces in terms of ordering kan, in terms of the payment. Semua sekarang ni payment is in terms of the cashless. So this is about the technology forces, the changes. We need to adapt, and then we need to adopt all the technology changes that happen around us, especially if you are the entrepreneurs. Okay, if you fail to cope with the technology, so it's very hard for you to survive, and it is very hard for you to compete with another competitors in the same industry as you are involved. Technology itself. Okay, even though in terms of the hospitality itself pun, kita sekarang saya rasa we do have a technology, okay, that we need to follow up, and then we need to cope with the changes happen around us. And then next is in terms of the socio-cultural forces. So what is actually socio-cultural forces? It is a component focusing on societal and culture factors such as the values, attitudes, trends, tradition, lifestyle, belief, tastes and patterns of the behavior. So ini adalah benda yang kita kena betul-betul take into consideration when we need to expanding our business. Okay, bila kita nak, you boleh go through, ada banyak contoh-contoh company ataupun branding produk yang kita tukar nama disebabkan oleh ni lah social culture bila kita masuk satu tempat. Contohnya macam ubat gigi Darlie. Ubat gigi Darlie ni pun dia ada kisah dia juga. Macam mana dulu kita panggil Darlie, macam mana dulu Darlie ni di kata saya kita kenal sebagai Daki dululah. But when we go into a certain country ataupun certain tempat yang kita have a different social culture forces, especially in terms of the culture, in terms of the attitudes, in terms of tradition, lifestyle ni, belief ni, so kita kena follow up untuk mengelakkan salah faham dari segi produk itu sendiri. Contohnya macam dengan Darlie ni, buat gigi Darlie ni, kalau awak tengok kan dia ada gambar a guy pakai hat dan muka dia is a white man. Tapi kalau dulu ini adalah a black man lah kan sini. So they change the symbol, they change the name to cope with the social cultural forces. Ataupun in term of the lifestyle, Starbucks sendiri pun ada issues dari segi dia punya it's not Starbucks, Godiva, chocolate Godiva pun ada issues juga dari segi dia punya logo. So you can read about this, especially in terms of social culture is very important. Lifestyle, belief, contohnya kadang-kadang dari segi warna sesuatu benda itu pun boleh reflect balik kepada kita punya belief. Okay, patterns of behavior, tradition kita. Mungkin ada setengah tempat ni dia merasakan kalau kita buat certain simbol, sign of tangan, so it is menggambarkan satu situasi yang tidak bagus. So we need to avoid this kind of the things dalam kita punya strategi dan dalam kita punya idea perkembangan sesuatu good servicing kepada satu tempat yang baru. Okay, the next is in terms of the political legal forces. So it is a regulatory and political dispensations of any given national or state government determined by the orientations of the ideology. So kalau kita tengok dari segi political legal forces ni, mungkin Malaysia ni kita still lagi okay compare with another country yang selalu bertukar pemimpin, the country yang selalu ada pergolakan, pergaduhan di situ. So it's very sangatlah susah, yang sangatlah mencabar dari segi pembuatan keputusan ataupun strategi lah. Okay. So the next is in terms of the task environment industry. So task environment is the analysis exposed that shareholders, suppliers, employees, labor union, competitors, trade association, communities, creditor, customer, and government. So these are the 10 parties that influence the company performance. For instance, experts say that by 2050, the number of company customers will increase. So this increase of customer may affect the overall business system in the organization. And beside that, government also plays an important role in targeting the growth of the business. Some of laws and legislation may affect the productivity of the company entirely. So if we take a look at the 10 parties here, okay, so kita ada shareholders memainkan peranan yang penting dari segi decision making. Supplier is one yang sangat penting dalam you punya productions. Remember in a business yang kata sebelum ni kan kita ada 3 yang utama. Satu adalah supplier, staff, employees, and then you punya competitors. Okay, supplier is the one that helps you in terms of the production resources lah tadi. Staff ataupun we call as you punya employees here. Okay, labor is the one yang helps untuk produce the product, to give an idea, to help to run you punya business. Okay, competitors also is the one that is very important for you. Why competitors is very important? Competitors sangat penting dari segi pembuatan keputusan awak, because competitors, from the competitors you will learn how to manage or make up a new things, a new ideas. Government, shareholders, and then the trade associations, community itself, creditors, customers. Siapa you punya customers is also very important, yang akan membeli ataupun membantu you punya business. Okay, so all of these stands are very crucial parts, and then you need to take care all of them to ensure you punya sustainability, and then to ensure a good component in you punya business. And then the last is in terms of the internal environment. So internal environment consists of the company structures, culture, and also the resources. So structures tadi saya ada kata dengan awak kan, sama ada what kind of the structures used inside of the organization, sama ada hybrid ataupun organic, ataupun kalau yang biasa jenis structures tu kita tengok dari segi dia punya organisasi yang biasa tu lah, yang structures tu kan, yang hierarki punya tu. And then in terms of the culture, so culture ni is very unique, is very interesting parts to learn in an organization, internal dalam sesebuah organisasi. So you can go through the Hofstad. Okay, so the Hofstad is discussing a few culture that happen, yang berlaku lah, sama ada it is in terms satu pembudayaan di dalam organisasi itu mementingkan cara kepimpinan yang bersifat masculinity, yang mementingkan goals orientation, ataupun dari segi feminism yang mementingkan kekeluargaan, ataupun sesebuah organisasi ni mementingkan individualism, bekerja secara sendiri rather than teamwork. A part of the organization. And then in terms of the culture of the organization ni, sama ada dia a risk taker ataupun tidak dalam organisasi. So ini adalah salah satu benda yang penting dalam pengurusan sesebuah organisasi secara dalaman. And in terms of the resources, who are the resources? Resources boleh jadi dari segi financial, or maybe dari segi manpower, okay, labor, ataupun maybe resources ni can be part of in terms of you punya machine, technology, okay, bukan duit sahaja, machine, teknologi, ataupun premise. So it is a part of you punya resources. Okay, and then the conditions, entities, event, and factors within an organization will influence its activities and choice, particularly the behavior of the employees. Factors that are frequently considered as part of the internal environmental include the organization mission statement, leadership styles, and its organizational culture. So the mission statement adalah ada tuju dia. So apa yang dia cuba capai. So this mission statement we're going to take a look for chapter 3. Okay, next week. And then types of the leadership. So you have go through for undergraduate usahawana, you dah belajar types of the leadership style ni kan. Kita ada autocratic, so kita ada transformative, kita ada apa lagi, kita ada visionary. So what kind of the leadership style that we are involving in organizations? Okay, and that's all for this chapter. Sikit je, it's just around 12 slide, 12 slide tolak dengan cover page, 2 page tadi kan, dan tolak dengan kita punya reference. So it's very short and simple chapter. So this is the reference that I use for this slide. You don't hesitate to go through this reference for further reading for this topic. So that's all for this week, and thank you.